1 Nephi chapter 2. In this chapter, we meet the rest of Lehi's family, including his wife Sariah, his two eldest sons Laman and Lemuel, Nephi, whom, well, we met him in chapter 1, and then we also meet Sam. Nephi is the youngest of the four, and Laman and Lemuel are the oldest. Lehi receives a vision from the Lord that he needs to leave Jerusalem or else he'll be killed. So he and his family flee, and they go out into the wilderness. Now, unfortunately, not everyone is a happy camper, and Laman and Lemuel in particular are not very anxious to follow what the Lord has said. But Nephi, on the other hand, is eager to follow, and he receives his own testimony and witness that what the Lord is telling them is true. So first we read about the vision in verse 1. For behold, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto my father, yea, even in a dream, and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Lehi, because of the things which thou hast done, and because thou hast been faithful, and declared unto this people the things which I commanded thee. Behold, they seek to take away thy life. And it came to pass that the Lord commanded my father, even in a dream, that he should take his family and depart into the wilderness. And it came to pass that he was obedient unto the word of the Lord, wherefore he did as the Lord commanded him. And it came to pass that he departed into the wilderness, and he left his house, and the land of his inheritance, and his gold, and his silver, and his precious things, and took nothing with him, save it were his family, and provisions, and tents, and departed into the wilderness. And he came down by the borders, near the shore of the Red Sea, and he traveled in the wilderness in the borders which are nearer the Red Sea. And he did travel in the wilderness with his family, which consisted of my mother, Sariah, and my elder brothers, who were Laman, Lemuel, and Sam. And it came to pass that when he had traveled 3 days in the wilderness, he pitched his tent in a valley by the side of a river of water. And it came to pass that he built an altar of stones, and made an offering unto the Lord, and gave thanks unto the Lord our God. Lehi appears to be a very wealthy person. We see that he actually gives up a lot. And despite giving all these things away, the first thing he does is he builds an altar of stones, and he gives sacrifice and thanks to God. But as I said, Laman and Lemuel, his two oldest sons, are not very happy with what's going on. They don't want to leave Jerusalem. But Lehi, in his best attempt here, is going to try and appeal to them and help them understand that they need to follow God. Starting in verse 8. And it came to pass that he called the name of the river Laman, and it emptied into the Red Sea, and the valley was in the borders near the mouth thereof. And when my father saw that the waters of this river emptied into the fountain of the Red Sea, he spake unto Laman, saying, Oh, that thou mightest be like unto this river, continually running into the fountain of all righteousness. And he also spake unto Lemuel, Oh, that thou mightest be like unto this valley, firm and steadfast, and immovable in keeping the commandments of the Lord. Now this he spake because of the stiffneckedness of Laman and Lemuel, for behold, they did murmur in many things against their father, because he was a visionary man, and had led them out of the land of Jerusalem to leave the land of their inheritance, and their gold, and their silver, and their precious things, to perish in the wilderness. And this they said he had done because of the foolish imaginations of his heart. And thus Laman and Lemuel, being the eldest, did murmur against their father, and they did murmur because they knew not the dealings of that God who had created them. Neither did they believe that Jerusalem, that great city, could be destroyed, according to the words of the prophets, and they were like unto the Jews who were at Jerusalem, who sought to take away the life of my father. And it came to pass that my father did speak unto them in the valley of Lemuel with power, being filled with the Spirit, until their frames did shake before him. And he did confound them, that they durst not utter against him, wherefore they did as he commanded them. And my father dwelt in a tent. So there's some pretty strong wording here. It compares Laman and Lemuel to the Jews of Jerusalem who were trying to kill Lehi. That's how angry Laman and Lemuel were. And that's why Lehi has the response he has, where they shake before him, because he's tired of dealing with them. And unfortunately, his words fall on deaf ears. And the reason why it falls on deaf ears is because they don't seek out God themselves. But we're going to see that Nephi does that. Nephi actually goes and prays and receives his own witness. And then Nephi goes and tries to tell Laman and Lemuel these things too, and he also goes to tell Sam. But Laman and Lemuel still will not listen. Starting in verse 16. And it came to pass that I, Nephi, being exceedingly young, Nevertheless, being large in stature, and also having great desires to know of the mysteries of God, wherefore I did cry unto the Lord. And behold, he did visit me, and did soften my heart, that I did believe all the words which have been spoken by my father. Wherefore I did not rebel against him like unto my brothers. And I spake unto Sam, making known unto him the things which the Lord had manifested unto me by his Holy Spirit. And it came to pass that he believed in my words. But behold, Laman and Lemuel would not hearken unto my words, and being grieved because of the hardness of their hearts, I cried unto the Lord for them. And it came to pass that the Lord spake unto me, saying, Blessed art thou, Nephi, because of thy faith, for thou hast sought me diligently with lowliness of heart. And inasmuch as ye shall keep my commandments, ye shall prosper, and shall be led to a land of promise, yea, even a land which I have prepared for you, yea, a land which is choice above all other lands. And inasmuch as thy brethren shall rebel against thee, they shall be cut off from the presence of the Lord. And inasmuch as thou shalt keep my commandments, thou shalt be made a ruler and a teacher over thy brethren. For behold, in that day that they shall rebel against me, I will curse them even with a sore curse, and they shall have no power over thy seed, except they shall rebel against me also. And if it so be that they rebel against me, they shall be a scourge unto thy seed, to stir them up in the ways of remembrance. So after Nephi tries to reason with Laman and Lemuel, and they still give him a hard time, Nephi then goes to the Lord and prays, and the Lord gives Nephi pretty powerful promises here. He promises Nephi that as long as he keeps the Lord's commandments, that he will be given a land of promise, and that he will be a ruler over Laman and Lemuel, which is a big deal because Laman and Lemuel are the older brothers. And he also says that the prosperity of Laman and Lemuel will actually be a scourge to Nephi and his prosperity. Or in other words, Laman and Lemuel's seed will humble Nephi and his people to remember God. But I would say the two most important takeaways from this chapter are, 1, we see what it takes to truly follow God. Lehi is a great example of that. In verse 15 it says, And my father dwelt in a tent. Now I know this verse is short and maybe a little silly, but this is a powerful image to us about what he had to leave behind in Jerusalem: gold, silver, and precious things, to only dwell in a tent in the desert. Lehi was willing to give up everything except for his family to follow God. And God asks the same of us. 2. Nephi found an answer for himself. Rather than relying solely on Lehi's vision and his word, Nephi went and sought out God himself, and he received his own answers that what they were doing was important, and that the Lord had truly spoken to Lehi and told him to flee Jerusalem. The reason why Laman and Lemuel are so bitter is because they have not done that themselves, because they do not have the faith.